Emergency mic check. Check, check, check.
Good afternoon. Happy Lunar New Year. Welcome to Calgary Chinese Orchestra's special 2021 Chinese New Year event, the online film premiere and after party of Off to the Races. My name is Jaja Li. I'm the artistic director of Calgary Chinese Orchestra. I'm also the producer of the film. Our production team has been working so hard in the past months, and we cannot wait to show you the film. 大家下午好，欢迎来参加卡城中乐团为春节特别制作的《一马当先》的首映典礼。我叫李佳佳，是乐团的艺术总监，也是这部电影《一马当先》的制片人。我首先呢，代表乐团给各位海外的华人拜个年，恭喜发财，恭喜发财，牛年大吉。今天的活动我将用英文主持。Calgary Chinese Orchestra is located on Treaty 7 land. We would like to acknowledge the traditional territories of the people of the Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta, which includes the Blackfoot Confederacy, comprised of the Siksika First Nation, Piikani First Nation, and Kainai First Nations, the Tsuut'ina First Nation, and the Stoney Nakoda First Nations. The city of Calgary is also home to Métis Nation of Alberta, Region Number 3. Today, we are gathered here virtually, not only to celebrate our traditions, but also to celebrate our differences. Off to the Races is a film project involving 72 different musicians from all over the world, playing different instruments and playing together for the first time in our film. I cannot wait to show you the work. And after the film, we will have a two-part panel and Q&A section to interact with all of you, our audiences, as well as some surprises. So stay tuned. I'd like to thank our sponsors for believing in us and for their generous support for the project, the Calgary Arts Development, Rose Foundation, Dunefield, CACIP 加拿大国际艺术摄影艺术学会 McKnight Registry. I'd like to thank our media sponsors, Tsingtao Daily, Live Calgary 卡尔加里生活 and our partners, the New Gallery and Calgary Chinese Cultural Center. I'd like to introduce my team for this project. Some of them will be joining me later for the panel discussion and Q&A section. So please welcome the award-winning film director, the director of our film Off to the Races, Vicky Van Chow. Welcome,
Hello, everyone. 恭喜發財，新年快樂。
Calgary's own music producer, Warren C. Our Who artist, Nicole Lee. Director of the New Gallery, Sue Ing Strang. Welcome, Sue. As well as CCO's own, Jace Eagle Bear. I wanted to thank Bernice, Whitney, Monica, and Yanni for your wonderful support for this project. I wanted to thank Donovan, our broadcasting director, for making this live streaming event possible, and the board of Calgary Chinese Orchestra, especially our president, Winnie Ang, for your trust in me. Please welcome Winnie to say a couple words to everyone.
Good afternoon. Welcome everybody to join the Calgary Chinese Orchestra Lunar New Year celebrations, Off to the Races. On behalf of the orchestra, I wish you everyone a very healthy, happy, and prosperous year of the ox. 新年快樂，恭喜發財，身體健康。As the president of the group, I'm very proud of Jaja and her production team to putting together a very creative and fun event as well as the short film. You guys are in for a treat. I also want to thank all the participants for their submissions. And for the audiences out there, thank you for joining us on this very sunny but very cold day in Calgary. It is about -20 out there. So can't wait for the film. But before we start, a message from the mayor of Calgary, Nahid Nanshi.
Hello, everyone. I'm Nahid Nanshi, Mayor of Calgary. Happy Lunar New Year, everyone. Happy Year of the Ox. You know, this past year has been one we never expected. The Year of the Rat was not the best of all years, but it is a year that taught us about community, about resilience, and about the power of arts. And so as we kick off the Year of the Ox, I'm thrilled to have the Calgary Chinese Orchestra doing this great work. I can't wait to see Off to the Races. Organizations like this are incredibly important to the vibrancy of our community. And as we've been stuck at home through 2020, as we've been watching movies and television and listening to music, it really becomes incredibly obvious how important arts and artists are to our community. So we are a much richer community because of the Calgary Chinese Orchestra. Enjoy the film tonight, everyone, and may the next year be a year of prosperity and the beginning of a bright new future. Gong Hei Fat Choi, Xin Nian Kuai Le.
And now, the moment why we all gathered here. We're going to show the film. Without further ado, here is Off to the Races. Please enjoy. CCO has been around for over 20 years and is always a dynamic force in the community. CCO, our goal is to promoting Chinese music and the Chinese instruments.
So I'm one of the founding members of the group at 1998, and I'm also one of the flutists. We actually is a group of musicians, so we started taking some flute lessons from the founding conductor, which is David Yin. So we really enjoy playing the music. There are about 15 of us that decided to we'll form our own orchestra. We register with the Alberta and form our own nonprofit organizations.
Currently, we are having an orchestra program under the Mount Royal University Conservatory, as well as a youth program. So the project started when we were thinking of the Chinese New Year for 2021. In the past few years, CCO has always been doing some sort of celebration. We have our concerts, we go into the communities to play for people. We still wanted to do something with the current restriction. Maybe we'll create a project to engage our community and we can present something online. So we wanted to create a short film about this classic Erhu song called The Horse Race. So we asked our community to send their rendition of the song, regardless of your instrument, your age, your background, or location, because it's all online. As a result, we received 72 submissions from local in Calgary, as well as Toronto, Vancouver, some parts of the States, and Singapore, and China. Yeah, so we are really overwhelmed and overjoyed with all the submissions.
It worked out really well in our favor because we now have a much more epic scope to the arrangement and the project.
From all the submissions we got, we were really impressed by the wide age ranges, from toddlers playing a variety of instruments to passionate elders.
Of course, we got lots of Chinese instrument submissions, but we also got one that was played on synthesizer. And we also got one that came from a different genre entirely. We had a submission from a Calgary fiddler. So it was neat to see a fiddle group that happened to have horse race in the repertoire already.
After it first came out, it suddenly become very, very popular because it contains a lot of new erhu techniques, like erhu staccatos, pizzicatos, and also the technique to imitating the horse galloping and horse neigh sound. So he actually put all the new techniques and plus the erhu specialty, like the singing melodic legato. Every sentence you can see the erhu's character, and in every sentence you can really hear through the erhu sounds and its culture.
Well, I first fell in love with the sound of the erhu after listening to the score of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, specifically on the track titled Yearning of the Sword. It is the python skin that gives the erhu its distinct sound, separate from the Western violin. It's got the two strings here, bridge, felt dampener, and of course the bow hair is between the two strings. The erhu still is considered a Chinese instrument, but on my first teacher's bio on her website, Yu Hongmei, her dream is that the erhu becomes as widespread as the violin. Even with considering Western instruments, they each have their own origins, but we don't think of them as, like, say, specifically a French instrument or German instrument or a Middle Eastern instrument. We just consider them instruments as part of the orchestra.
Orchestra is about teamwork. So as a performers who play on the stage, I find it very amazing when all the instruments play in harmony. Like, that is a different kind of experience from being an audience. Playing by yourself is very different than playing with a group. You have to really play to the beats, and which I think a lot of people find it a challenge, but once you get the rhythm, it's actually very fun.
This project is to celebrate the communities. It's a group effort from our members, the participants, artists, and the people who first heard of Calgary Chinese Orchestra to make this film possible. We wanted this project to make people are more interested in Chinese culture and history, the beautiful instruments and the music. And I'm also hoping to see more people joining us, the Calgary Chinese Orchestra. That's it. I hope you liked it. It's really weird to do an online premiere because we don't hear the applause or boos. Please tell us what your thought of the film in the chat on YouTube. Leave us a comment or ask questions. We'll watch for your questions and answer them. We also have a couple friends here in Zoom broadcasting room. If anybody here wants to speak up, please use the raise hand button and I will cue you. Okay, so let me introduce our panel for the Q&A section again. Our production team, film director Vicky Van Chow, Calgary's own music producer Warren C. We also have Erhu artist Nicole Lee joining us today from Vancouver. Welcome, Nicole. Jace Eaglebear, our Erhu player from CCO. And last but not least, CCO's partner and friend, Su Ying from the New Gallery. So welcome, everyone. I know that Winnie wanted to also say a couple things. Winnie, did you want to say something?
Yes, I just, before I leave the panel, I just want to congratulate the team, like such a great work. This is the first time I watch it too. Like, I honestly is very moved. It's way beyond my expectation. Great job, Jai Jai. And everyone, Becky, Warren, it's amazing. So thank you and enjoy your conversation.
You can stay with us if you wanted to. Yeah, so first of all, Vicky and Warren, how are you guys feeling? How are you feeling?
Overwhelmed, exhausted.
Yeah,
but feeling great. Yeah, it was so exciting to kind of see it with everyone for the first time.
Yeah.
It was worth it. It was worth everything.
I know we have been working day and night pretty much for the past couple of weeks, and for both of you, and yeah. So I just again. I think just thank you is just not enough to express my own gratefulness to have worked with both of you. Yeah, so thank you so much for your work and creativity into this great project. Yeah, so and Nicole, is your first time watching it, I guess, because three of us have been
first time. Oh my goodness, I didn't expect this. It's so good. Congratulations to all the players and the production team. So good.
Thank you. And yeah, so I know that during your interview for the documentary part, we actually, you talked a lot. Unfortunately, not all of them have made it to the film. So I wonder, maybe Vicky could, talk a little bit about the parts that that didn't get to show, and then that are also very interesting. Maybe share a little bit with us.
Yeah, so when we had originally approached this project, we were looking at a really short song. Like Horse Race is only like 2.5 minutes, and because we received such an overwhelming amount of submissions, Warren had a crazy task of trying to fit everyone into the mix. So he ended up arranging an entirely new song with Horse Race to include everyone, and including all the wonderful featured musicians, including Nicole, as part of the film. And for the documentary part, it was great to interview, Winnie and Jace and Nicole and Warren and Jaja, and just learning so much more about the orchestra. And, unfortunately, we had to cut a lot of stuff out, but yeah, there's Nicole had some great projects that she was working on, and sort of how she first learned how to play the erhu, including Jace as well. You heard a little bit of that. So yeah, I don't know if Nicole or Jace wanted to talk a little bit more about the instrument and sort of, yeah, your relationship with the Horse Race music and yeah, the instrument itself.
So Nicole, you want to maybe tell us a little bit Yeah, about erhu and also yourself. Like I know that you grew up in China, from China, and learned the instrument over there. And then how is the music education or erhu learning back in China? And yeah, when did you start playing erhu?
Okay, hi everybody. And I am currently in Vancouver, Canada. It's my honor to be involved in this wonderful project. I'm still amazed, like in the shock of what I just saw. Good job, everyone. So I started to learn the erhu when I was 6 years old from mainland China. And ever since that, I never stopped to playing it. And I love the sound of the instrument. Everybody who knows a little bit the erhu knows that it has a really unique warm timbre that can touch people's heart. And so I'm really also enjoyed the horseways when I start to learn it, and that's why that's one part emotional shock me too, because that's one of my childhood music, and then
Right.
it's played in a completely different
Scenario.
way.
Yeah.
And then with so many great players from all over the place.
Yeah, totally. How about Jace? When did you start learning erhu? Jace is again one of our CCO members and currently serving as the concertmaster of the orchestra. Yeah, so Jace, like when did you actually start learning, like playing the erhu? Like you talked about the Crouching Tiger film music in the film that really inspired you to pick up the instrument. But when was that?
Probably watched the film probably when I was about 10 years old, but it wasn't until I was 17 years old that I finally decided to try to get myself an erhu to purchase. Then shortly afterwards, I tried to track down a teacher, and it just so happened that Yu Hongmei, China's top erhu player, she currently serves as, I believe now she's actually she currently runs the China Social Conservatory, the entire thing, I believe. But yeah, she was at the University of Calgary on sabbatical. Her husband was from Calgary, so I found her email on the UC website. Her husband responded, and then we scheduled our first lesson over in Calgary.
Perfect. Okay, I'm watching the YouTube chat questions, and I got a couple questions already here for Warren. One of them is, how many gong locations were considered before the bathroom won out?
So I managed to dig up the gong out of storage. The Calgary Chinese Orchestra has a whole bunch of instruments, naturally, and I was digging around in the storage room, and the gong was, you can't miss the gong, but apparently the gong stand is a little bit harder to find. So I came home with a gong and had to improvise for a gong stand, and it's actually harder than you would expect because you need something that's wide enough. So you need a space that's wide enough to accommodate it. A closet wasn't really gonna wouldn't cut it. So I think the shower was pretty good, and I think the acoustics worked pretty well too.
Perfect. Since you're at mic, Warren, maybe I'll ask this one as well. So as someone asked, do you as an arranger know how to play all these instruments?
No, that's one of the tricky things as an arranger is my own philosophy to arranging is you always want to arrange with all of the idiosyncrasies and the uniqueness of every instrument in mind. So you do have to kind of at least study, at the very least, the range of the instruments. You can't write any music that falls below or above what the instrument is capable of playing. But in cases like this too, I really wanted to highlight the unique differences between the Western and the Eastern counterparts. We had a really neat opportunity to have the erhu played right next to the violin. We had the bamboo flutes and the Western flutes. So we had submissions from all sorts of places. So studying a little bit of what each instrument can do and what makes it special, I think is really important. It helps if you know how to play the instrument, for sure. I'm a violinist, that's my first instrument actually, and I've recently just started to learn the erhu myself, and even then it's it helps to know how to play the instrument, because part of my philosophy is to write parts that are easy for every instrument to play. Somehow, I think that people perform better when they're playing parts that are easy to play. Imagine that. I hope that kind of answers your question.
Thank you, Warren. So Vicky and the CCO has already a long history together. Hey, Vicky, when was that you actually were with CCO, when you were a teenager or something?
Yeah, it was right before I went to art school. I was sort of like a lag between high school and art school, and I just really wanted to connect with my identity. And my dad was really was really adamant of me just learning more about the Chinese culture. So it was actually David Yin who was my bamboo flute instructor for a couple of years. And then I was terrible. I'm not gonna lie. I was really bad. I never practiced as a teenager. You didn't want it. But it was that a couple of years of joining the Calgary Chinese Orchestra really changed the way I worked as an artist. And I mean, even though I'm not part of the orchestra anymore, I'm not a musician. I'm still working with the orchestra. 15 years later, I worked with Jeffrey Chow, who's the conductor of the Calgary Chinese Orchestra in my last film, Pulled Strings, and now I get to work with the whole orchestra for this one. So it was really amazing. It was a really great experience for sure to be connected to the orchestra.
What was some of the memorable moments or fun experience when you were working on the project?
Oh man, it was really funny because I was working like 2 weeks straight on this film, and I got to know everyone on such an intimate level because as I was putting the grids in and like cupping, I'd be like, okay, Ellen, I'm gonna move you over here. Okay, Ethan, Mushi, you're going over here. And so I'd be like talking to these clips, and I'm not a musician myself, so a lot of the editing process had to do with a lot of math, a lot of timing, and obviously the help of you and Warren to go over the drafts and make sure that I was doing it properly. But yeah, it was just a really great experience. I mean, the intro and the interlude parts that Warren wrote were definitely some of my favorite places to edit, just because it was those are such beautiful pieces that he wrote, and the musicians that were part of it are just so professional, and it was just so fun to edit their footage together. So
excellent. Here are a couple quick ones. I guess I can just answer. What were the names of all the instruments used? I recognize the pipa, guzheng, and Chinese flute, and of course erhu, but not the others. So for Chinese instruments, besides the above that mentioned, there's also I played this wind instrument called a hulusi. It looks like this hulu. What is a flute? Hulu? Is it
made from a gourd?
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, and then made into an instrument, right? So it actually has this very, very unique sound. And then you also got this 36 pipe sheng that Stan was playing. This mouth organ that has so many pipes for the Chinese orchestra, as well as there's a zhongruan, daruan, the Ran family. And yeah, there's also this a different erhu, which is called a banhu. Maybe Nicole can tell a little bit what is a banhu. That we have one participant from Windsor actually played this instrument.
Banhu, it's well, you can just say is a higher pitch, different tuned erhu, but it has a different shape of erhu body and produce a different sound. It doesn't have the python skin.
Right.
Yeah.
And I shaped it a little bit differently too, hey?
Yeah.
Jace,
it's
yeah.
Wrong thing.
Yeah, it's made from a coconut, actually.
Oh.
Yes. Coconut shell.
How yummy. Yeah. So, and then for the non-Chinese instrument, we also got some piano, violins. As you can see, anything else? Vicky probably remember all of these like way better than I do.
Yeah, cello, double
Cello,
bass.
Yeah, all of these. Vicky, there's another question asked that were the costume coordinated? I bet like they were thinking of the first scene of the the film.
Yeah, that was probably the only coordination. But we didn't tell anyone we just knew that it was for Lunar New Year. So some people, dressed up for the occasion, but there was the four ladies who had these beautiful blue and white capos that I just had to put together. So, but otherwise, yeah, everyone just wore, what they felt comfortable with. And I think it was just a really great mix to show sort of like all these different people in different stages of their lives, and yeah, just participating together. So
totally. Yeah. Sue, so how do you like the the film that we put together? Yeah, I haven't heard from you, so.
Yeah. Oh, well, first of all, congratulations to you all. I think it's a really, really incredible piece. I really enjoyed it. I'm still soaking it all in and can't wait to watch it again, kind of offline afterwards. But it was really, really fun to kind of capture this live moment of the release. And I guess one of the things that really struck me, touching on your intro about community, and Vicky also talking a little bit about being able to get a sense of who each person is. I just really saw this as an incredible illustration of community coming together despite all odds. An orchestra is such a communal, collaborative thing. And it was really, really beautiful and interesting to see how you all came together and worked together in all of your different spaces, from your living rooms to your bathrooms to your backyards, to make this work. And there was a comment in the chat earlier, it's lost, it's buried now, but about these different instruments as well, and bringing some non-traditional Chinese instruments into this mix. And I think that that's also a really, really important and interesting aspect of this community building nature of this film and of the work that the CCO does. It's exciting to think about how the CCO has this opportunity to introduce Chinese music to audiences beyond who might have who's accessed it historically, and introduce a famous piece like this to folks who are working in different types of music on different instruments, and really share that culture, make something that's new and a hybrid of what you bring through CCO and your tradition, and also something that can only happen when you're collaborating with new folks on new instruments and things like that. So I was just really excited about the whole piece, and I think Vicky did a wonderful job capturing that real spirit of community building through your work.
Excellent. Yeah, I cannot agree more. Thank you, Sue. So why don't we take a break and reveal our surprises? As I mentioned earlier, we'll come back to the panel shortly, so please continue typing out your questions in the YouTube chat and we'll answer them in the next part. To show our appreciation for all of you attending this online event, we have $3 $50 Calgary Chinatown restaurant coupons to give away. I want to thank our event prize sponsor, Calgary Chinese Cultural Center. And the three restaurants are the Silver Dragon, Central Grand, and the Chinese Cultural Center restaurant. So I have put all of the names into this drawing prize kind of automatically random app. Yeah. So all of your names are here. So I'm going to tap this magical wheel. So we'll start spin. And we'll see who's the lucky person for the first restaurant, which is Silver Dragon Restaurant. There we go. Drum roll. All right, I cannot read this way, so I have to see. Congratulations to Patricia Stevenson. Patricia Stevenson. I will contact you. Congratulations. I will contact you via email afterwards. Thank you very much. Okay, so next. As I mentioned in the film, CCO has a youth program. I'd like to introduce some of the young musicians from our youth program, and maybe we'll get a little performance from them too.
Hi, I'm Chelsea, and I play the erhu. My favorite part of being in the CCO is getting many opportunities to play for different people. One time we even got to play for the mayor. It was a big eye-opener for me, and I made a lot of great friends along the way.
Happy New Year, everyone. My name is Stan. 中文名字是李健. I play the Yangqing and 36 windpipe sheng in the Calgary Chinese Orchestra. I joined in 2015, and my most memorable moment was in 2019 when Master Wu came and played numerous sheng and sonai pieces with our orchestra.
大家好，我是凯城中乐团的 Betty， 我在团里演奏乐器是柳琴。我是2019年加入乐团的，我印象深刻的经验也是在2019年第一次跟大家一起演出。我觉得和我原本在国内的表演经历非常不同，我也学到很多新的事物。谢谢大家。
Hello, my name is Paul, and I play the 笛子. Today, me and Musi will be playing a song called 麦收时节 or The Harvest Season, and we hope you enjoy.
大家好，我是姜木西。今天呢，我要用笛子和炮一起演奏《麦收时节》，希望大家能够喜欢。
Thank you, Mushi and Paul. It was lovely. As a racialized arts group, it's hard for us not to talk about race. One of the questions we often ask ourselves is, how can we be more inclusive while maintaining our own identity? We all have a lot to learn about the world and the people around us. The idea for creating a project like Off to the Races was to connect different people and communities together. And that is also our dearest hope from CCO, to use music to connect different people together. Today, I invited CCO's friend and partner, director Su-Ying Strang, from the New Gallery to present an anti-racism comic made by artist Jason Lee. Sue, could you tell us a little bit about the artwork?
Certainly. So this is a project, well, thank you for that introduction, Jaja. And just quickly, for those of you who don't know, the New Gallery is a charitable artist-run center located in the historic Canton Block in Calgary, Chinatown, here on Treaty 7. I just want to say that I really appreciate Jaja taking the time to set our context for today by offering a land acknowledgement earlier, and also just now sharing the CCO's thoughts and goals for inclusivity through their work. And in terms of this particular project, I'm really so pleased to be here to share this with Calgary Chinese Orchestra and to celebrate this new film and celebrate Lunar New Year with you all by thinking about how we can all be anti-racist and actively inclusive in our communities. When we were asked to share this short comic, by Jason Lee, and it's edited actually by Annie Wong, who's one of the 3 artists participating in our upcoming Calgary Chinatown Artist Residency with the City of Calgary Public Art Program this May. I was excited because it's something that we've been sharing mostly on social media, mostly online during this time, this past year, when we've seen so many of the historical inequities, particularly racial inequities, really, really compounded by COVID-19 and the impacts of the pandemic. And it was really important to Annie through her residency work with the Calgary Chinatown Artist Residency, working long distance over the past year to think about the role of Chinese Canadians in doing this work in our communities. I really think that the Calgary Chinese Orchestra and the New Gallery have a couple things in common, and one of them is building community through the arts. And if we've learned anything this past year, it's that we must lift up others and prioritize supporting other communities to be actively anti-racist and inclusive in our approach. I really think that Jason's comic plainly speaks to that Chinese Canadian experience and our specific role in advocating for other communities of color, particularly Black and Indigenous folks. I hope that this comic is something that you can share with your family and friends, and that it helps you all feel empowered to start having these conversations at home, because that's really where this work begins. This comic is one piece of a larger anti-racism resource that will be published this year through the Varley Art Gallery with support from the New Gallery and the City of Calgary Public Art, that shares a lot of different stories, interviews, conversations with artists actually right here in Treaty 7 as well. So really excited for that to be shared with you later this year. And I just want to end before we share this comic that in some Chinese folklore, the ox in the race for the Chinese zodiac, the race to the Jade Emperor, the ox was considered a generous and kind animal who supported the rat, carrying his peer to the finish line, crossing that dangerous river. As a result, the ox gave up his first place. And I think that we should all collectively work towards making this Year of the Ox one that is kind and generous, one where we can lift up our neighbors and peers and share our successes and opportunities with all. So please enjoy the comic, and Gong Xi Fa Choi.
We are back with our Q&A part 2 with Vicky, Warren, Nicole, Jace, and Sue. So I'm just gonna go straight to some of the questions here. Where would you recommend someone to go to learn more about history of Chinese classical music? Are there particular recordings, composers, documentaries, or books anyone here would recommend? So maybe we'll have, I can answer a little bit. First of all, if you are located in Calgary, you could always contact us, join the Calgary Chinese Orchestra, and then you learn a bunch of them with us together. We have an orchestral programming. We also have instrumental classes for beginners, as well as a youth program. So yeah, so that is one of the ways that you could learn. Maybe Nicole, as a professional, could also give some tips, and maybe Jace as well. Oh, Nicole, you have to unmute yourself if you want to speak. So I'll read the questions one more time. So where would you recommend someone to learn more about history of Chinese classical music? Are there particular recordings, composers, documentaries, or books that you would recommend? I cannot hear Nicole. Maybe Jace, you want to maybe jump in?
Well, it's tough to say because especially if you're looking for like an English source, that will be kind of difficult. I do have this one book called Qi, as in Yue Qi for musical instruments. That's spelled with QI. I believe the author was Samuel Wong. The only downside for it is that it is a bit outdated. It goes all over the instruments in the Chinese orchestra. But yeah, it does need quite a bit of an update because there have been quite a few advancements with Chinese instruments. Like for example, the Yangqin. There's a new version out with an extended range. It has pedals for dampening, like you would with piano. And then of course you have the Qicheng, and then there's also the instrument, the Kongbo, the Chinese harp. Whereas the first version, it had only one side of strings, but the newer modernized version, so the Chinese harp, it has two strings on both sides of the instrument, and pressing one side can bend the pitch of the other side. So it's really fascinating thing. But yeah, finding English sources not too familiar.
Yeah, that's where I know a lot of our teachers from CCO, when we're teaching, most of the books we're using also all in Chinese. The books that we bought from China were, bought from online and shipped from China. So again, if you are curious or interested about resources, you could always email us, and then we could send you some stuff on your way. Thank you for the question. There's another one here. I love to hear how the orchestra found this process compared to the live shows they're known for. Does this open up some new ideas, inspirations for how the CCO can share its immense talents? Thank you for the question. It is, well, we are living in a very different time right now. This year has been, everything has been online, and CCO, our members, including myself, we're all missing performing live and getting together, doing rehearsals together. We miss that very much. Yeah, so still doing, but we don't want to be like not doing anything. So that's also part of this project started, not only giving our members something to do, also trying to include like broader communities, people, different communities to join together and to stay connected and working on some projects together. So I think it definitely has broadened the reach of the orchestra. From before, we never have thought connecting friends or people outside of Calgary and do projects together would be so easy, and now we're having friends from all over Canada and some parts of the States and everywhere else to join us on a project, and definitely I think it's a great opportunity in a way for CCO to open up and to try some new different things, and then this is also one of the directions that we could go in the future as well. Thank you for the question. Yeah, so maybe let's see, Warren, in the in your arrangement, so there are 72 submissions, we know. How did you manage to put 72 tracks together? Maybe share a little bit about that. I think it may be like quite interesting.
It was tricky. Imagine buying a jigsaw puzzle and you're expecting 50 pieces, but you got 5,000 instead. It takes a bit of careful organization. You try to put all the sections together. One of the things that made it a little, all the instruments together. What also made it tricky is that the call for submissions was not terribly specific about what everybody had to play instrumentally, as in their choice of instruments, or even the particular notes that everyone had to play. The only real restriction we had was the tempo. We provided a click track, which just it's like a metronome that everybody played along to. It's just to make sure everybody was at least on the same page from tempo perspective. But when it came to putting 72 instruments together, it was a matter of trying to find all of the submissions that were playing similar things and putting them together, and also really working on spotlighting different parts of the 72 submissions. So it's rare that you hear all 72 instruments playing at once, but at some point in the video, you heard all 72 instruments, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best way too, because this way the audience can focus on all the individual instruments as they come to the fore.
Yeah, so I think maybe I shall mention it now. I see many people asking, will they be able to see the film again after the premiere event? Yes. We'll be uploading the piece onto our YouTube channel. So please subscribe us and you'll get update. And so you'll see this work again. And I also see someone asking about the comics. And Sue, where can they actually see the comic again if people wanted to see it?
Sure, I was just about to drop a link in the chat. So there's a couple different places. The comic is the only part of the fuller anti-racism guide that's available online right now. There is an English and Chinese language version that's available both through the New Gallery's Facebook as well as through the New Gallery's Instagram. So I'll pop those links in the chat for you now. But it's also going to be available actually in print with the full guide. Now these publications are going to be distributed here in Calgary Mohkinstsis. They're also going to be distributed in other parts in other parts of the country. But please stay tuned. If you are not on the New Galleries mailing list, you can subscribe and find out when those are published and released through our website, which I'll drop that in the chat, but it's www.thenewgallery.org.
Perfect. There's another question. Do you think you'll continue doing short film premieres in the future? Vicky, would you want to work with us again?
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
I'm serious.
it was definitely an amazing experience, and yeah, I'd be happy to be a part of this again.
What have you, well, I mean, like, you have been working on this film, but what have you worked on before our project, and what are you, is there anything else that you're working on or you're plan to start next? Maybe tell us a little bit of yourself.
For sure. So I recently got into filmmaking, so I'm quite emerging at this point. So this making this video was actually a really big learning experience for me. This is my first time doing something on, the scale. As I said, I'm not a musician, so it was a big learning curve trying to edit a music video with instruments, not being a musician. So but it was a great learning experience, and I had a really good time. I mean, like I said, I mentioned before, I worked with the Calgary Chinese Orchestra on a piece called Pulled Strings. I'll put in the chat the link to my website, but you can watch that short that I made back in 2018 with Jeffrey Chow at www.vickychow.com. A lot of my films are based around what I know, so a lot about sort of my relationship with my Chinese identity, being a Canadian, and so just exploring a lot of elements of music and culture. With Pulled Strings, it was about Chinese food and Chinese music. The next film that's sort of a sister film to that is called Hearth of the Lion, which I shot back in 2019, but because of the pandemic, it sort of was put on hold. But I will be collaborating with a local lion dance troupe here in Calgary, and as well as a local restaurant here called Cam Han in my neighborhood, Ramsey. So I'm hoping as restrictions lift that I'll be able to celebrate that film with a live performance and tasting. So yeah.
Excellent. Can't wait to see all of these things coming live again. All right. Thank you again, everybody who have joined our wonderful event. And thank you for all of your questions. I think it's time to draw our second and third lucky winners for the yummy restaurants. So I have my app ready here. So all of your names are still there. I'm going to draw the second winner first for the restaurant Grand Central. Drum roll. Congratulations, Eleanor too. Eleanor, yay! Thank you. Congratulations. All right, I'm going to right away draw the third one. So the restaurant is for the Calgary Cultural Center restaurant. There we go. Bang! Who is this? Congratulations, May Chen. May, congratulations. All right. I will be contacting you after the event and then sending you the coupons away. Thank you so much. All right. So This brings us to the end of the event. Thank you so much, everyone, for all of you who came. Thank you to everyone who gave us a donation. And if you loved our film and wanted to give us a donation after the event, you can still do so by visiting our website, calgarychineseorchestra.com, and click donate. If you want to support our youth program and future projects like Off to the Races, a donation would really help. Thank you again to our production team, Vicky, Warren, for your hard work and the incredible results. Thank you again to all of the participants from around the world. I really, really hope that we can stay connected and play music together again soon. Lastly, CCO is launching our new website in a couple weeks, so make sure you check it out, as well as for our spring program, including a new beginner online erhu class. The easiest way to stay updated is to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Calgary Chinese Orchestra. And if you have any questions, please email at info@calgarychineseorchestra.com. I wish everybody, again, a very happy Lunar New Year. Stay healthy, and I hope to see you again very soon. Goodbye. Thank you.